Hello everybody, hope you all are doing good. Today it is Saturday and I am just having a lazy day at home. My husband's gone, my son is gone, it's just us girls, me and my 5 girls here, Mrs. Bennett and her lovely daughters are spending the day at home just doing our own thing. Most of the girls just want to watch movies all day and a couple of my daughters are going out for like a Friendsgiving dinner with some people from church, and I am just spending this day making videos, reading, updating my reading journal, basically just chilling out. It's a good day. I mean, it would be a better day if we were all here, but we're making the most of it. So today I am going to do my life in genre tag. This tag I've had on my list for quite a while. I'm really backed up on tags, but I was tagged by Debs from Rainer Read Stuff, and this tag was originally created by Lekden. His channel is called Reading from the Depths. I will put both of their channels below so you guys can check them out and go and find the original questions on Lekden's video, because this is a pretty complicated tag. It has like categories and subcategories, and you just kind of pick which questions that you want to answer from these different categories. It's a very creative and well thought out tag, but I'm just going to leave the link there for you guys to go back to his video and see kind of all the details if you want to do this tag. It's pretty fun, and I think that it probably can apply to everyone just because he has so many different categories to choose from. So the categories that I chose were literary fiction and nonfiction. So there's a question for that main category, and then I chose 3 subcategories below it. You'll see what I mean when we get going, but it's a pretty fun one. So this is my life in genre. I especially like these kinds of tags where you talk a little bit more about yourself and less about the books you read, just because sometimes it's hard to find a book to fit prompts, and I find that I'm always talking about the same few books. So this one is all about me personally and kind of my personal life, and that's a fun one always to do and to listen to. So if I don't tag you below, please do this tag if you're interested and tag me so I can come and hear all of your answers to the questions. All right, so the first genre that I chose was literary fiction, and the question for that is, what is something you like to take your time with? And the answer is not a lot. So I tend to, for the most part, rush through and kind of do the bare minimum, trying to get the most things done in the least amount of time, sort of a thing. And I've always been like that. I was like that in school. I'd always get, comments on my report cards that, a great student, but I need to slow down, or that kind of thing. And then I find myself kind of being like that in adulthood, where I've got 1,000 different irons in the fire, and I just give each of them a little attention here and there to sort of keep everything afloat, which that's actually mixing metaphors, but you know what I mean. And I never really actually devote a whole lot of just complete attention to one particular thing. One thing that I do go really slow on, just on my own personal hobbies, is puzzles. I take my time with puzzles, and I don't let anybody touch my puzzle. So I have a puzzle table set out in my library, and I have had the same King Arthur puzzle on there for a really long time. We might be going on like 7 or 8 weeks now, and I've only got the outline done on it. It's a hard one, but also I have to it's one of those things that I really want to be like in a certain mood and atmosphere for. I want things to be quiet and cozy, and I also have to be able to see, and so like my eyesight kind of starts dwindling by the afternoon. But anyway, but my mom, she'll put out a puzzle, and then you can just kind of come by and put puzzle pieces in and work it a little bit, and she doesn't mind. Like, she likes it when we do that, I guess. And I would just start screaming bloody murder if somebody touched my puzzle. Like, I want to find every piece myself and put every piece in, and I want the accomplishment to be my own. So yeah, there you go. All right, and then the subgenres, the first one is classics. What is a tradition you hold dear? So many. I am really big on tradition, and I probably get that from my mom as well. She always, we just have these certain traditions that we've done ever since I was a little kid, and she did them for years and I've done them, and it's just like, you gotta do these things. Like, whatever it is you're doing is not really worth doing unless you do all the traditions. So like this time of year, Thanksgiving, we always have the same food. Even if nobody likes a certain dish, we still have it. It's still out there. And I'm still saying, try it with gravy, try it with, whatever, just to try to get people to eat it. And people are like, Mom, we don't like this, stop making it. I mean, nobody would actually say that to me, but it's clear when they don't actually eat it. So yeah, can't give up my food traditions on Thanksgiving. Winter, we always have hot chocolate served with candy canes. I think when I was a kid, we did that on the night that we decorated the Christmas tree, but that's what we had always done with our kids, in my own family, me and Jamie. After we decorated the Christmas tree, we would have hot chocolate and candy canes. We haven't done a Christmas for like 4 years, and so this is our first time in about 4 years doing Christmas. And so I'm assuming that that's what we're gonna do this year, because why not? That's the tradition, and that's what you have to do. But, baking the same treats from the same recipe stack. In my recipe card box, I just have this little stack, and I just know where to pinch it and pull out, and it's all of the winter, Christmas, holiday treats. And again, even if no one eats them and I end up throwing out Grammy Annabelle's snowball cookies after 3 weeks, I still make them. A tradition regarding reading that I love is when someone writes a note to me in the book. So when I was a kid, when my mom would give me a book for, a present or just whatever, she'd give me a book off of her bookshelf, that kind of thing. She would always write a note to me in it. It was usually, to Sarah, love Mom, and the date, but it was really special to me. And so when I married my husband, when he would give me books, I would always just be like, write in the book. And then I started to realize that it was kind of irritating him. So I've stopped asking him to, mostly, because when I ask him to now, then he's like, oh, I didn't, he feels like kind of guilty, like it wasn't a complete gift because he didn't write in it, so I just kind of let it go. But I really do love it when people write, to Sarah, love, whoever, and the date in the book. It's just, I don't know, it's tradition, it's special, it seems sentimental to me. And then, down the road, when I want to gift it to one of my daughters, then I'm writing, to Avalon, love, Mom, and the date, sort of a thing. The next subgenre is speculative fiction or magical realism, and the question for that is, the impossible is possible, but in a subtle way. What is an uncommon or special talent you have? That's hard. I don't really have anything that is like extremely, uncommon or anything like that, but something that I do know is a talent, more of a gift, I think, is just the ability to use words well. Sometimes it's a gift and sometimes it's a curse. So just like I can, deliver a message well with my words, or teach something well, or, bless somebody, unfortunately, I can also really hurt people with my words. I can really cut them down. I can put someone in a position where they don't feel like they have anything to sort of say back. It can be intimidating. It can be very off-putting and hurtful. So sometimes our biggest gifts are also the things that can really wreck us. We gotta be careful about that. But I do think that I'm a pretty good teacher. I'm pretty good with taking a concept and putting it into the words that a person can understand for who they are, right? So if I really take the time to pay attention, I feel like I can read people really well, and then sort of just condense that information, or just, explain it to them in a way that they will understand for who they are. It is a great gift if you are a teacher. I am thankful for that, since I am a homeschool mom to my kids, and I've had other opportunities for ministry teaching and stuff. But even that, on the flip side, sometimes I can be really insensitive because I don't take the time to think about who that person is and how they're going to receive what I have to say, and then I can say something hurtful, right? And it's hard to pull that stuff back. So I think that it's a Jekyll and Hyde thing, but my way with words is a gift if I will use it correctly. The third subgenre for this one is contemplative fiction. What is the meaning of life? So I'm gonna get a little preachy on this one. I think when people say, what is the meaning of life? I think they're kind of asking, like, what is the point of life? Like, why are we here? What is our purpose, sort of a thing? And for me, I think that point is to show God appreciation for creating me and just for giving me this beautiful life that I live. I believe that God made us to fellowship with him, and so I want to make sure and do that. I want to appreciate the world that he put us in, right? Rather than looking at it as a sinful, horrible, fallen world. I know I know biblically that that's what it is, and it's not what he actually intended for the world to be, but he's making it beautiful anyway, right? And taking, and doing what he does as far as just making, broken things beautiful. So, fellowshipping with him, I can do that by acknowledging him, just making him a part of everything I do, right? Continuous dialogue, thanking him for every little thing. Like when I make a sale on my Etsy shop, like my first words are, thank you, Father. Just every little thing, not just setting aside specific prayer time. I mean, that is important, but also just kind of all day long, he's beside me, acknowledging that and talking to him all day long, right? Laughing with him and, inside jokes and that kind of thing. He's basically just a constant companion. I think that that's really important to him, right? That's a really important way of acknowledging him. I want to be content in my circumstances, while also looking for better ways to honor him with the choices that I make. I can also do that by making his name and his truths known, making sure that my character reflects his character the best I can, and just doing my best, to encourage those that I have influence over to live their lives for him as well. If we want someone to desire what we have in him, right, we've got to show that it's worth desiring. So we're kind of that catalyst, right? But just enjoying the world that he put me in at the time he put me in it, right? Like he chose to put me here. He chose to bring me into this world in 1979, and knowing all of the things that I would encounter and the people and the political framework and, all the stuff. He chose to put me here at this time. And so it's okay if I look to the past for inspiration, but also enjoy now, right? And just enjoying the creative mind he gave me, right? The creative ways that he made for our brains to work and our imaginations to work and for our hands to work, and just getting the most out of this life as I can. As long as it honors him, just enjoying my time here while I'm waiting for eternity with him. There's a saying that says, don't be so heavenly minded that you're of no earthly good. And I think that's really important, right? We're not supposed to be just sitting here in a safe little corner, twiddling our thumbs, waiting for him to come back and not engaging with anything lest we might fall into a trap. I think that we can look for the good and we can create more good, right? I think that there's a lot more good in the world than bad. It's just the bad is louder. So there you go, meaning of life stuff. The last subgenre for this genre is family or generational drama. What is something, not an object, but an outlook or a character trait that you have inherited from your parents or ancestors? So I think that I'm a good mix of both of my parents. My dad could be very cynical, not necessarily negative, but just kind of suspicious. You were kind of guilty until proven innocent with him. And it was just because he was trying to guard himself against hurt, right? He just been through a lot, and he didn't know how to not walk in hurt, I think. I don't think he knew how to walk without a chip on his shoulder. He tended to sabotage good times because in his mind they were going to turn bad anyway, and so he wanted to kind of have control over the fallout over it all, right? And those things I find myself fighting a lot. I don't want to be that person, but I think that, and a lot of times I do fight off being that person. On the flip side, he was super intelligent. He was very curious about a lot of things. He was the type to see something and not just wonder about it, but also take it apart, right? Dissect it, look at all of the parts, analyze it, go research it, find a book on it, whatever, and just know this thing, whether it was a machine or, something organic or whatever. The only time he didn't do that was with people. And so that probably would have benefited him better if he would also try to do that with people. But it was kind of a difficult, antisocial sort of person. But he had a huge thirst for knowledge and understanding. And when I was younger, he didn't talk about God a lot. But when I was older, he gave that credit to God, right? When he would see something that, you know, God had made, or just an ability or an insight that God had given a person, like, he was pretty quick to give that glory to God and just to appreciate creation, right? A few years before he passed away, him and I were just having a conversation, and he still, you know, assumed he had decades and decades left. He passed away very unexpectedly a few years ago, but one time we were having this conversation, and he's like, at my funeral, I want you guys to sing How Great Thou Art. And I was like, okay, right? And so, like, it wasn't very long after that when we were actually planning his funeral, and we did. My sister-in-law got up and sang that, and we attempted to sing along with her. But, you know, when you look at the words of that song, it's really just a guy sitting out in nature, appreciating creation, and not trying to conquer it, not trying to change it, not trying to make it better, but just appreciating it for what it is. And that was my dad, right? When it came to things that were created by the Father, he really did just appreciate what it was, and he had a real respect for creation. I am that way, and I desire to be that way even more. I think as I get older and I have more time to myself, I can see myself just being that person who just kind of sits out in the woods and looks around for hours thinking about creation and the beauty of it. I kind of do that now. It's just not hours. It's mostly just 10 minutes until the oven timer goes off, right? So when it comes to my mom, she is an eternal optimist. She is an extremely hopeful person. I can't imagine my mom ever being like, that's it, it's over, I give up, can't do it, it's not possible, like that. That's just not her. If there's not a way, she will make a way. Like, I don't think she even believes that there's not a way. I think she just is like, well, we haven't figured it out yet, but we will. She makes it fit. She makes it work. She finds, you know, the resources, the finances. She finds the workarounds. I think I've inherited that too. There's just no giving up. You just figure it out. Like, and usually you do. I mean, you usually do figure it out. If you just try and pray, and it's fine. There's no quitters. No quitters. No quitters allowed. One character trait that I do wish I had inherited from her is her ability to quickly forgive. She doesn't hold grudges for those that she cares about, right? And that is hugely freeing. I do hold grudges, and it's really hard for me to move on from a really big offense if it hurt me, right? If it was just something annoying and you're just a jerk, then fine. But if it really hurt me, like, I have a really hard time. Like, I want you to do penance. I want 25 apologies, you know. I want you to sit here and tell me all of the reasons why you were wrong. It's not okay. It's not okay to be like that. But she's just not like that. Like, she's just very forgiving, and I really appreciate that. All right, and then the other genre that I chose was nonfiction. So the question for that is, what inspires or motivates you? For me, I love to see people thriving right where they're at, right? You don't have to spend a lot of money or spend a lot of time or whatever. You're just like, this is where I'm at, this is my life, I'm gonna thrive, and this is what I'm gonna do. So for instance, the things that I like to watch on YouTube outside of BookTube are usually people who are just kind of like everyday people doing really cool things, because it inspires me to be like, hey, I can do those really cool things too. I like to watch Hannah. Her channel is A Real Vintage Doll's House. I'll put her link below. And she makes content about the ways in which she appreciates kind of like the 1940s era, that history, that part of life. She lives a regular life, like she probably has a regular job. She just does regular stuff in a regular house, but she's slowly kind of, decorating it to fit 1940s. She's changing out her furniture and her appliances and just kind of like renovating the easy parts of the inside of her home, right? I mean, she's not, rearranging her entire house. She lives in like a, normal house, but the inside is just very 1940s. Little by little, as she goes to, thrift shops and different things, she's acquiring things and sort of changing them out. She researches original sources for inspiration. Sometimes she likes to dress in the period clothing, but not all the time. Sometimes she just wears regular, jeans or whatever. Anything she's done, I could do too. While I'm not interested in the 1940s, I get really inspired to change up my home to the periods of time that I am interested in, like the 18th and 19th centuries. I also like to watch Ruby Granger, who posts a lot about self-education. She's coming up with curriculum for herself for different seasons of the year, and she's got all these like planners and office supplies and just stuff that she bought on Amazon or whatever, and making for herself a whole school plan of things that she wants to learn about, very specific things that she just wants to take the time to research, right? So she works a regular job. She was a student and is currently, as far as I understand, not going to university. She's probably figured out what I figured out a long time ago in my early 20s, was that it wasn't that university experience that I was craving. It was the learning experience, right? The research experience, the digging deep and finding answers and just wondering about things. And then, that whole experience that you can do for free or very minimal amounts of cost. So things like that just inspire me, right? To use the resources I have to make a great life, or to, become a great scholar in things that I'm interested in. And I hope that I am that kind of inspiration for other people, and that I will, grow more to be more of an inspiration of that, where people can look at me and be like, hey, she's doing all this really great stuff, and, she's doing all this really great stuff right where she's at. So I want to do that too. All right, next subgenre, history. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. What is something in your life that was a real learning moment or turning point? All right, I have 3 specific times in my life that I think were real, turning points as far as shaping me into the kind of adult that I was going to be. The first one was when I joined bookcrossing.com. That might sound kind of silly, but so bookcrossing.com is a international site where there's all kinds of different forums where you can talk about books and bookish related things. But it's just kind of a community for people who love reading, right? Well, when I joined this community, I was living in a small town in Eastern Oregon. I had never been anywhere. I had not been 500 miles from home. I might not have even been 300 miles from home. And however far up Seattle is from Eastern Oregon, that's how far I'd been my whole life. 33 years before I finally got out and went further than that. But when I joined that community, I was living in a small town. Everybody was white. Everybody was middle class. Everybody had been in that area for generations. Nothing wrong with any of that. I actually really desperately miss that and would go back to it if I wanted. Although I think I would miss culture. I would miss having, living amongst various cultures and languages and, people from other places. I'd miss that part, but the hometown feel, so I joined this community, Book Crossing, and all of a sudden my eyes were just opened up, right? To other people, other places, books that I would never even think about reading, which also opened my eyes up to the world. At the time, the majority of the people on the forums were of a completely different, mindset than me, different politically, different faith-wise, and it was very interesting to me. It was very eye-opening. I had not had an experience before ever in my life have the opportunity to just see the world, right? Through this website, through the people on this website. So that was a huge change. I think it was that. I think book crossing, getting that access to the rest of the world really opened the door. The next thing was going to England for the first time in 2013. I was 33 years old, had 9 children, and was just feeling like I had never done anything with my life. Although I was raising 9 children, that's a pretty big accomplishment. But I got on a plane and I went to England all by myself. I'd never been on a plane, I'd never been anywhere. And I navigated train stations and airports and, language barriers. There's still language barriers when it comes, even if you are in England. Transportation and food and accommodations and all this stuff I just did by myself. A little hokey girl from Eastern Oregon with no cultural experience. That was huge. When I got back from that trip, my life was definitely changed. I recognized I could do much bigger things than I thought I was able to do. And there's a whole lot of stuff out there I don't know about. And I think that really sparked my desire for self-education. Huge. I realized that I didn't need someone else to teach me stuff, that I could go out and teach me stuff myself, and that there was all kinds of resources, right? And so that really was kind of that next open door to take responsibility for the things that I wanted to learn and the life that I wanted to have, right? Like, if you want to do this stuff, there ain't nobody on this planet that wants you to do it more than you want to do it. So you better just go do it. And so I have, right? I think I've been to England 6 or 7 since then. And I've taken my kids and just everything. I can't even, there's not enough time in this day to make a video long enough to explain all of the ways in which that has changed me, completely changed who I am. And then the third one is just kind of what I am sort of walking through now and just kind of walking out of. The last few years, I've just experienced a lot of grief. I've lost my father, I've lost my father-in-law, I've lost my aunt, I've lost my older brother. My mother is walking through grief, and I'm, trying to be a support to her. We've walked through something really rocky with one of my children, and that has been the ultimate devastating thing for me. I've just experienced a lot of loss and a lot of change in the last 4 years. But what it is teaching me, I wrote it down. I said, I'm learning how to put aside people-pleasing and truly have a voice. Figure out what my boundaries are, right? Put up boundaries with people or situations that are not good for me. And that doesn't mean completely cutting people off. It just means telling them this is as far as you can go, right? I've been a social media influencer for 15 years, I think, 16 years. And, through blogs or just through all kinds of different venues. And I'm learning that I don't have to give access, right? I think after a little while, this channel isn't super big, but I have had other channels where there's, quite a bit more followers and engagement, and they've led to in-person experiences. And, I had a really successful blog for years and tons and tons of engagement there. And I think sometimes you feel like, well, I've opened myself up this far, and so therefore I owe it to these, followers to just give them what they want and answer whatever they want to know and put myself out there, because otherwise I'm holding back. And I did this to myself, so I'm better just walking it. And I'm realizing I don't have to give anybody access. And whatever access I do give them, it can be completely up to me. It can be revoked. It can be, glossed over if I don't want to share every detail. And to some people they're like, well, duh, Sarah. But to me, that's just a huge relief, And I'm learning that in these hard experiences that I've walked through the last few years, that if I don't want to talk about it, I don't have to talk about it. It's fine. And I think overall, I'm just really recognizing that my life is right now, right? This is my life. This is what it is. Today, that's what today is. And I just don't want to waste it. I don't want to keep looking for greener grass or waiting for perfect circumstances. I just want to live every day great. And so I think that, you know, that is the way the Father has used these really hard times and really great times, these 3 turning points, just to, you know, get me to where I am today, where I'm just like, whatever this day brings, I want it to be great. And the only person really who can make it great for me is me. All right, next subgenre is politics and activism. When have you felt like everything was against you, but you were able to persevere? You know, I don't think I've ever felt like everything was against me. I felt like no one understood me, like, every day of my life. But I have always known that those people still love me, even if they don't get me. And sometimes they do get me more than I think they do. But I've never felt like everyone was against me. Maybe I'm just too arrogant to ever assume that. I don't know. But I think that there are times when I've been proud of myself for doing hard things. You know, for persevering through this or that. I was really proud of myself this summer when I took that walk through Chawton. I will put the video for that one up here for you guys, or maybe in the description box would be better. But there's this walk from Alton to Chawton in England, in Hampshire. And it is the walk that Jane Austen would have taken when she walked into town from her little village of Chawton, you know, to go into town to visit her doctor, or, you know, visit a grocery store or family or shopping or whatever. Like, in her little town, there wasn't too much, but there was a town just under 2 miles walk into Alton, where she would do her stuff, right? And her town stuff. And so I wanted to take that walk. It's actually a designated, like, Jane Austen trail. There's signs. It's actually really simple, but I didn't know that. And I had heard from a friend who took it. She's like, do not do that. Whatever you do, do not do that. I got lost. I ended up on, like, the main highway, you know, and I was walking down the highway with all these big trucks, and it was really scary, and I got lost, and I never did find Jane Austen's house in Chawton. And she's like, don't do it. Well, this girl had traveled England a lot and other parts of the world. She was just a very seasoned traveler, and I'm like, well, if she couldn't do that, I surely can't do that. And so I spent 10 years going to England and not doing this walk because I was scared. And then this last June, one of my biggest reasons for going all the way to England for a week was to take this 1 2-mile walk from Alton to Chawton, just to see if I could do it. And I did, and it was easy. It really was. And I was proud of myself because, you know, at times, there was one time when I got turned around. It was on a roundabout, and one direction led to that highway that's, I want to say freeway, but I don't really think it's not quite as big and busy as our freeway, but it was the busy road. Anyway, one way went that way, and then 2 ways looked like they went towards Chawton, and it took me a minute, but I figured it out, and I was just super proud of myself. Anyway, I talk a little bit about that in that video too. So that's something that I was just like, yes, I did that, and I didn't get lost, and I'm back home, and all is well. I'm really proud of myself for being positive in hard life circumstances. You know, like I talked about, the last 4 years have been the hardest years I've probably ever lived. And I just feel like for the most part, like, I try to be really positive, and it could have been so much worse if I would have had a different attitude, for sure. I'm proud of myself for the way that I've raised my kids. I have been consistent in just kind of like the way this family is gonna work, is gonna run. And I've been really consistent in my parenting, and I feel like I have a good relationship with all of my kids. And anything that they do in their adult life that is stupid, like, I'm taking no responsibility for because I know that I raised them well and I'm proud of that. They want to make dumb choices, that's their fault. All right, and then the last subgenre is spiritual or self-help. Outside of reading, what does an afternoon of self-care look like? And I really like to just sit outside and read or write, work on my journal, that kind of thing. I really like to sit out here. So this is a back porch. This is like a little patio thing off of our second level of our house. And I can look out onto the forest. I don't know if you guys can see very well because the way the light is, yeah, it looks really weird. You can't really see, but in a lot of my videos, you'll see me just kind of filming that whole, there's all forest back there. I'll try to get a better video, but it's all forest back there, super beautiful. So I like to sit out here, and then also my front porch, I've got a pretty good view, but then I can also see houses, so, you know, I can't pretend that I'm all by myself. But there's a lot of nature out here, and forest animals running around and that kind of thing. So it's really inspiring. So sometimes I'll sit on my porch or down by the lake. The Bentonville Library, I like to go into Bentonville and go to the library and sit outside. They have like this wraparound, I mean, if it was a house, it'd be a wraparound porch, and it has these pillars and all around it. And so I like to sit there at this certain table outside and just kind of, it like faces the rest of the neighborhood. And so I sit there and pretend like I'm like on a, you know, grand estate in the South. This is my home. So I like to do that. Snacks and drinks are always required for a time of self-care. Well, whether it's, you know, healthy or not healthy. I also really love to visit places that I can learn from, like museums or libraries or estates or, you know, special talks, historical sites. That really sort of feeds me, just that opportunity to learn and then have kind of like a springboard for further education. Anything that can allow my imagination just to kind of roam uninterrupted is a good self-care for me. I don't have a lot of time to like completely finish a thought. It doesn't have to be expensive. I just want it to be like rich in, you know, like creative or historical inspiration. But just having the opportunity to sort of be with my own thoughts and sort of process them, like, that's a really great treat. And I know that, you know, the time is coming very shortly when I will have a lot more of that kind of time. My husband still has a good 20-25 years of work left, but I only have 6 years left of parenting children. My youngest will be an adult in 6 years. So there's a span in there where I'm probably going to have a lot of time alone at home to look out the window and contemplate my existence. But right now, like, I just really crave that sometimes. But later when it's like, that's just my life and I have no other choice, you know that I will miss the busyness of my schedule now. All right, that's all I got for this tag. That was fun and nice to sort of think about, you know, what kind of answers I would give to these questions. Go over to Lekden's tag on this though and look at there's so many different options. This is a really fun sort of introspective tag. Please tag me if you do this one. These are the kind of videos that I love to watch and be inspired by. So I'd love it if you would do this one. I will tag some people below, and I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.